To my mind, there are 5 main reasons why people don't do personal development, other than the obvious, and that's they've just got no fucking interest. This should come as no surprise to you if you read the title of the video before you clicked it. But that's what I want to talk about, the 5 reasons why people may not do personal development, not get started on it. I'm going to address those and maybe help you get started. But don't worry, I'm not going to try and sell you anything, so you can relax on that. And this is definitely not another one of those new year, new you type of videos. Although I suppose technically it is, because I'm sharing it in January. But that's just a super fun, happy coincidence, because that's the time I've decided to do it. Because New Year resolutions, I looked into those and only about 30% of people stick to them. To me, New Year's great for going out and partying and celebrating, but other than that, you know, why pick that one day to try and start something new when you can do it anytime? You know, all you got to do is think of the new thing you want to do, whatever it is, which starts with a thought, and then you start taking action on it. So I'm going to talk about personal development more than, you know, exercise plans and diet plans, although it would still work for those. But here's my 5 reasons why I think people don't even get started with personal development. First reason people don't do self-development is because they think they can't change. You know, they're set in their ways, they can't change. However, the truth is, we're changing all the time. Every time a bit of new information comes into our awareness, the brain changes. For example, you know, the people that used to like Elon, that's right, Elon Musk, a lot of the people that used to like him don't seem to like him anymore. I don't care what your view of him is, and I'm not going to share my view, because that's got nothing to do with personal development. But that's an example. You know, people that did like him don't seem to like him anymore. So change is something that's happening to us all the time. So it's never too late to start doing something new, because you can always change. You know, what you used to believe as a child, you didn't believe as a teenager, don't believe as an adult. Some people may refuse to change and be reluctant to change, but if you want to change, I assure you that it is possible. As you get older, it does become more difficult because we get set in our ways, and if you talk about how the brain's wired up, the connections that you've made over the years and the associations have become hardwired, but it's not too late to change them. So that's the first reason, is that people think that it's too late to get changed. It's too late to change. So there's reason 1. Let's move on to reason 2. Have you ever tried to butter toast with your non-dominant hand? I didn't ask you, Storm. Weird question, you may be thinking. What's that got to do with personal development? Well, up until last week, I hadn't. I'd never tried buttering toast with my non-dominant hand. And when I did try, I made a right pig's ear of it and dropped the butter knife. But there's a method in my madness of why I was doing that. Just before Christmas, I was listening to some neuroscience lectures, 16 hours of them, to be fair. And one of the things that they said in it was that how the brain works when it comes to willpower can be built upon. And the thing they said in there was that if you brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand, whichever one you normally do it with, then after a couple of weeks it helps build your willpower. I don't know how true that is, but that's what the lecture said. So that got me to thinking about, you know, what other things do I do with my right hand that I could switch to doing with my left? And I know where your mind went there. Stop it. Don't go into the gutter. I wasn't thinking that. But obviously I tried buttering toast. I've been stirring my tea and getting the tea bag out with my left hand. So where was I going with this? And yes, willpower, obviously. People think that they're not going to have the willpower to stick to it. But obviously, willpower is something that can be built, at least according to neuroscience. I'm not suggesting that you've got to go out and start doing things with your other hand, but it's something you might want to do. But willpower can be built upon. So if you're thinking that you may not be able to do it because you haven't got the willpower, if you stick with things after a certain period of time as well, they become habits. But we're not going to go into that today. So there's a second reason people don't get into personal development, is because they don't think they'll have the willpower. I'll let you out in a second, Storm. Number 3 reason is people think that they're not smart enough. Maybe they're a little bit too thick, not academic enough. Excuse me, whatever you want to call it, but think that, you know, you buy these books on personal development and, you know, they're using really long words and technical terms, and you've got to get the dictionary out to understand what they're doing. I know this because I had to do that myself when I trained as a therapist. As I was reading most of the text, I had the dictionary to go, what's catharsis mean? That was a long time ago, though. That was back in 1996. But getting into personal development, you don't need to have a master's degree in psychology, sociology, philosophy, or anything like that, because you can start off simple, and I'm going to get onto that in my 5th tip, but you don't need to be the brain of Britain or brain of anywhere, to be fair, to get into personal development. So that's one reason people get put off getting into it, is because they think they're not going to be able to understand all the terminology. And a lot of it is, you know, quite pretentious. Some of it's aimed at certain markets and certain people, but you don't have to go for the high level stuff. Working on yourself is really quite easy, and as I said, I'm going to get onto that in the 5th reason. So reason 3 why people don't get into personal development is because they think they're not smart enough or academic enough. Reason number 4 why people don't do any kind of personal development is because they think it's going to cost a fortune. And, you know, there's retreats out there that sound really great where you can go all hippie and like get in touch with yourself, and these are amazing things if you can afford them, but generally speaking, these retreats cost more than, you know, some of us earn in a year, so that's not an option. And even going on some of these other courses, if you're working for minimum wage or on a 0-hour contract or anything like that, and I've done that, you know, you may want to go, even just buying the books, you might be thinking, well, that's something I'd like to do, but, you know, I've got to think about other life's luxuries like buying food or putting the heating on. So cost is often a reason why people don't get into personal development, think it's going to be expensive. But the thing is, like, well, books are quite cheap, but there's so much information available for free on the internet, and I'm going to be sharing some free stuff this coming year. I've also read a book. It's being edited at the moment, so I'm not trying to sell that, because I did say this isn't a sales video. But, you know, go to the library. I think there's plenty of free e-books out there that you could read, but loads of people are giving tips online, some of them good, some of them bad, some of them talking absolute bollocks, but I'm probably talking bollocks as well. And I've not even had a beer. But yeah, don't let cost put you off getting into personal development. So that's the 4th tip. 4th tip, 4th reason why people don't get into personal development. If you're still with me, thanks for sticking around. But the 5th and final tip is, I've forgotten, I better have a look at what I've written down. Of course, not knowing where to start. You know, there's so many things that you can work on your spiritual side, or you know, maybe you're thinking of doing an exercise thing or eating healthy, giving up a bad habit. And there's so many things out there, because in the last tip I was saying, you know, it doesn't have to cost you out because there's loads of advice out there. But then you go overwhelm, and it's like, well, where do I start? Where do you start? Well, here's my great freebie tip, which is this. What is it? Yes, the best way to do some personal development, because we're talking about working on your character, getting rid of some bad, you know, personality traits, like if you're always arguing or something like that, or, you know, there's a way of thinking that you want to change. Now, this is how simple it is, and this is how you can get started, is that all you need to do is, you know, like, what do you call them? Memes, where you see those motivational memes that people share, often quite hypocritically too, but get one of those motivational memes that is something that you want to work on for yourself, and then just work on that one. And what I mean by work on that is think about it throughout the day. You know, when you're driving to work, if you're working, or washing the pots, you could do it in the bath, while you're walking around the supermarket. Just be thinking about whatever that technique, phrase is. Like, if you wanted to be less argumentative, think about that. Just that simple phrase. I'm going to be less argumentative. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of time. But if you start thinking about it, when you get into an argument, you'll suddenly go, oh, I'm trying to be less argumentative. And so you might apologise mid-argument, or towards the end of argument, or after the argument, if, you know, that's how long it takes. But at least you've made a bit of progress. And what you need to do is keep working on that one thing until, you know, it's become who you are. You know, I can still be argumentative, don't get me wrong, but I'm less argumentative than I used to be. Certain buttons can still be pushed and I'll kick off, but generally speaking, I'm not as fiery as I was in my 20s and 30s. So there's that idea of where to start. Doing any kind of personal development, just work on one thing at a time. And that leads me into what I'm going to be sharing. One of the things I'm going to be sharing this year, because I plan to do a lot in 2025. I've said that for a few years now and done fuck all. But this year I'm definitely doing it because I'm working with someone who's going to kick my ass. And so I've got a lot of things I'm going to be sharing this year. I said one book. This was the second book I'd started. I've already written a book years ago, which helped veterans with PTSD. Then I started another one, which is about 3/4 finished. Started another one, which is being edited now, and by the time this video comes out, I'm hoping that it's near enough done, so that'll be out sometime early 2025, I hope. And at the point of nearly finishing the first draft of the second book, I started a third book. So there could be 3 books coming out from me this year to do with self-help and personal development. But I'm not here to sell them, as I said. What was I saying? Yeah, I plan to share a lot. And a lot of free stuff, including these videos. Now, this is a longer one and it's an explainer one, but all the other videos in this series will be shorter. So I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to pause for a minute so I can put another, whatever you call it, title card or something that will say what's coming or something like that. I don't know what I'm going to put on it, but hopefully, I will have done it. I'll have put, what was it? Reason 1, Reason 2, title cards at the time of recording. I can't do that until afterwards. So I'm going to pause for a second, catch my breath, and there'll be a title card, and then we'll get into what's coming. And there'll be another thing for you to think about at the end of this next section, if that makes sense. Okay, something I forgot to mention when I was talking about the memes is another source of inspiration for personal development is TV shows and movies, because we watch them and some of them inspire us. Now, I've recorded I've taken 13 clips from TV shows and films that have inspired me over the years, and I've done a video for each of those with a little bit of a commentary over it. Those videos are going to be a lot shorter than this one, because this one's kind of the explainer of what's coming, but I will be sharing one of those every Tuesday. The SSSH stands for Silver Screen Self-Help. Because that's the best name I could think of at the moment. Sounds a bit cheesy, I know, but the other one was Be Less of a Twat. But that spells bloat, when shortened, so I thought, nah, we'll go with SSSH for now. If I think of something better, it may change, but mainly it's so that you can see it's a series, because if you see SSSH 6, you know it's the 6th one, and if you want to watch another one, you know, that's all they're being numbered for. I'm going to share a little clip in a moment, but that's what I've got planned. One of the things I've got planned is these will be coming out every Tuesday, and the reason this is just because it tickles me is that at the end of every video I'll be able to say, see you next Tuesday. But some people will get that, and I'm not calling you one of those either when I say it. It's just something to tickle me and keep my spirits up for doing these things. But I've got 13 of them. They'll be coming out every week on a Tuesday. If people like them, I'll do some more. But let's go on to the clip, just to give you an example of the kind of thing that's coming. And as I say, there'll be shorter videos than this one.
So, that's it. You don't want the son of a whore to raise himself out of the dirt and stand the same height as Simerson, and he's no good nephew. You want Sharpe to know his place, the same way you knew your place when you first joined the Rifles.
This is one of my favourite scenes from the TV series Sharpe, because it reminds you, no matter your background, your start in life or your social class, you can always better yourself. My favourite line will be at the end of this clip, and I'll just give you a lead in to it when it's coming up.
Like Hagman and Cooper. What were ye? Dust on a boot. But look at you now. Chosen men. Men who wear the white cord of courage. Picked out and promoted. Why? Because you didn't know your place. Picked out because you pushed your way to the front and proved that you were braver men than those around you. Because you wanted to prove you were better men than
if you're from a working class background, this is the line to think about.
There's no sin being born in the dirt, boys. But it's a terrible sin to want to stay there.
Okay, if you've got to this point, that probably means that you're thinking about doing some personal development. Also means I haven't annoyed you too much, and that you may be interested in seeing some more of these videos. As I say, there's 13 of them. They'll be coming out every Tuesday. I'm not sure what time yet, but probably mid-afternoon UK time. So the only places I'll be sharing them, because I'm not big into doing a lot of social media, will be I'll put them on YouTube, and they'll be on my Facebook business page, you know, professional page, whatever you call it, rather than my personal timeline. If you see it anywhere else, then that means someone else has copied it, shared it, whatever, which is fine. I don't mind. You know, at the end of the day, this is free. I'm just sharing some tips that might help people. So, but if you are watching this on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, and you want to make sure that you see the next ones as they come out, plus some of the other stuff I'm going to be sharing this year, then you might want to, okay, if it's YouTube, is it subscribe or follow? I don't know. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is, do that. Do it now, because you'll forget otherwise, if you want to see some more of these videos. Because if you've got to this point, you must have liked this one at least, or be curious. So I've got lots of stuff coming this year that around self-help, and it's all most of it's going to be free anyway. My books won't be free. You'd have to buy one of those, but as I say, they're not ready yet. One of them will be out very soon. Thank you for watching, and hit the subscribe, follow, like thing now, because I'm going. Bye bye. See you next Tuesday.